Hey yo, this is Anime Addiction 00, and the next ones that are in line with all these walkthrough class videos that I'm not even halfway through yet, according to all these character portraits, is the Osamodas. They are the traditional summoners, even though some other classes can summon their own mechanisms and traps and whatnot, as you saw with like the Rogue and the Kra so far. But yeah, these are the more traditional type of summoners, I guess you could say. Anyway, let's just hurry up and get into the game with one character I already have ready. I leveled them up a little bit more compared to the other ones I have done. The Rogue I thought was going to be the farthest I would do around level 30, but this one I did even farther than that. I was having a little bit too much fun once I figured some stuff out, but I guess we'll see if I can actually explain some decent amounts of things. So before just going right into a fight, I'm just going to at least point out the specializations, because I'm not sure if I'll remember to explain it if I happen to use them. The most important thing about them is their Gob Gob. The more you level it up, the more creatures you can hold, up to 5. They each have their own little inventory, you can say, where they keep the summons, and that's the little paw print next to the heart where your health is. I can only hold up to 4, but the max last is 5. You can only catch monsters that are equal to or lower than your character level, and you can only multiple summon things if also it doesn't exceed your level. For example, I have a level 30 Swordfish here. I can't summon 2 of those if I happen to have them because I'm not level 60. At least that's the impression I get with the information that showed when I scrolled over it. Gob Up is when you actually summon them. I'll probably be showing it. The higher the level, the more powerful your summons will become and the more stats they retain. If it's just a low level, it doesn't really get much stats and it's very high cost to summon them. And also you get more range to summon them from, so you don't have to summon them like right next to you. Next one is Possession, because many Osamodas, once you get them going, you'll probably admit that the monster AI can be kind of stupid sometimes, so Possession can be very handy if you, excuse me, if you want to take control of the monster and have it do a very specific thing with their moveset. However, if you do it, you'll completely miss your turn once you cast it, so once you level it up to like the max level of 9, it will only cost 1 AP, you don't need a line of sight, and it increases up to 5 range. So with that way, you might be able to at least do most of your turn, and then possess them to do whatever you want. The Critical Synergy is a buff for your Gob Gob and yourself. If you fuse with the Gob Gob with the Dragon, which is the next one, you get both bonuses. So the bonuses you get 2 block and 2% critical hits to the Gob Gob, and then you get 20% critical hits if you're in Dragon form. And it says I take on both bonuses, but I'm not sure about all 3. Makes sense, because you get critical hits with the Dragon, then you get those both, so I guess you would get all 3. That's what it looks like it says anyway. Of course, the higher level it... Sorry, I can't talk today, goodness. The higher the bonuses become, and the less it costs, up to 1 Wakfu point, instead of 3 action points as well. The Symbiosa, however you say it, pronunciation. This is when you actually fuse with your Gob Gob and become a dragon of some kind. I guess you could call it maybe like a wyvern. But in any case, when you fuse with them, you get bonus effects. So far, I have 15% damage, 10% resist, and 1 range. And once you max it out, you'll have an extra movement point and an action point to deal with, and additional damage and resist. And it only costs 2 AP to summon if you max it out. So, it can be very handy. The rest of the passives are mostly things that will help buff your summons and whatnot. Osamodas Blessing, for example, gives you up to a max of 2 control, so you have more summons in play at the same time within the level restrictions. And that when you're in Dragon form, you get up to 40% critical hit damage if you max that out at level 20. The Animal Guard is when you're attacked and your summons are out, they'll have a chance to get angry and they'll go after the monster that attacked you with some bonuses. I leveled it up to 10 because I thought it was handy because it gives them additional movement so I can move around the field a little bit more. So yeah, it's actually one I like. Prospect Hair allows them to return some of the damage your summons take up to a certain amount. Maxed up to level 20 is 20% damage, and it says your Gob Gob gets a bonus 2, up to 3% additional water damage per command received. I'll probably show that with the commands and such once we get into a fight. The Animal Link is when a summon dies, you'll get up to 20% of their hit points back to the Osamodas once it's level 20. And if you also leveled up to 20, 100% of your earth damage transfers to the Gob Gob's water damage. And that's the damage that your Gob Gob can use. And the Phoenix Spirit has a chance of your summons to come back to life once. Excuse me again, goodness, so dry. Come back to life once, 40% chance. And when you're in dragon form, you always come back to life once with 20% hit points in dragon form and stuff like that. So pretty strong stuff here once you get all these points. If these points weren't like so strict at some points, you'd probably want to get all of them. So anyway, let's try and actually fight things, because I'm already starting to talk too much, and I'm already drying out. Get the sidekicks in here. And let's try to fight something. This shouldn't be too bad. Place these guys over here. Put this guy. Oops. I'll most likely summon first, so I might actually want to be over here. I was going to try and do the training dummy, but this seems a bit easier to do. Anyway, specializations, because these are most important. First thing is the Gob Up, and I'm going to summon just whatever one of the ones I have. And then if you use the Gob Up, you can still use the Gob Gob afterwards, but you can't summon it on an empty square. You can only use it on a monster if you have room. Once you do it that way, once you kill the monster, you'll capture it once it dies. Now my summon will go and do whatever its AI likes to do. I have to hope my sidekicks don't die too much. Probably gonna have to give them a shield. Might as well be quiet and go along with the turns. It might be easier if I just skip things so it goes however you like. But I'm still not sure about that. So the first spells I'll try to use is whatever I seem will be handy, and I'll try to explain it as I go. I hope I'm not coming down with something with how much my voice is breaking. But anyway, the first one is Curlback. It has a very good range, just not next to you. You don't need a line of sight. It's just very hard to aim right here. That square, there we go. And once you're in dragon form, it'll have a secondary effect and increase the rate of critical failures monsters will have. And I just captured the little rock thanks to my fat tree. So let's see what's next. The one that is next is Scareleaf Wing, which I probably can't do right now because they're a bit far away. But I will use Osamodas' Whip, which I can use on of course a monster to deal damage, or on a summon to do reduced damage and increase their damage output, depending on what level it is. So right now, it's given my summon 27% damage. And since I can cast it, I'll cast the Crowback again. That wasn't too bad. Except now I have to find other things to fight because my summon is too good. But anyway, at least it was very helpful in that fight. And once you capture a monster, this little thing will glow blue, and you can see where your brand new summon is. You can right-click them and have them side to side, and if you don't like a monster later, you can choose to digest the creature. It says digest all creatures of this type, but I had multiple cats at some point when I first started and only digested that one. In any case, it shouldn't be too difficult to capture again if you want it. So let's try another fight. I didn't show off lots of air things. I'm not sure if I mentioned though, with the air spell tree, they're pretty good because at least two of them don't need the line of sight like the Crowback and the Scareleaf Wing, but once you're in dragon form, all of them have a secondary effect. Like for example, the Crowback adds +4 levels of critical failures when in dragon form for probably each hit. Critical failures means you will fail your spell and pretty much skip it, but you'll still waste the AP you were going to originally use to cast it. The Bork Trump has a very long line of sight. Unfortunately, I'm not in range, but I'm going to cast it anyway just so you can see it. It's very low hit, it's very low cost line of sight, but you can keep rapid casting it like this. And when you're dragon form, it turns the target's gaze, so you can use it to try and turn it so it's not facing you and maybe do extra damage. Just gonna smack him because I don't like the way he hit and stuff. I should probably just skip their turns and only use them if I need them. Sorry, I'm still trying to find a way to make this easy. But so far I haven't found a way yet. The last powerful air spell, well, not very powerful. It's kind of weak, but it's useful in dragon form because you can push everything around you back one cell, and you can cast it on yourself without doing any damage. So it's useful to get everything away from you. And then Scary Leaf Wing, because it costs 2 movement points. Scary Leaf Wing is very easy to use with any other spell you're using, since it only costs movement points to use. So I guess the next ones I can do are some fire ones. The Magpie, the Fire Branch is very interesting because they usually have okay range and they have decent damage. And if you hit your summons with it, they usually get some bonuses with them too. So let's try this one. And I'll use this one on it, so he'll get a block bonus. Gurgling is a very cheap spell. It doesn't cost too much at 2 AP. And it does very weak damage, but every time you cast it, your summons get a block bonus. So it's kind of like a defensive spell, or just a cheap one to use if you don't know what else to use for the time. At least the monsters go kind of fast. My poor robot's gonna get beaten up some more. The next one I can use, well, I'm not sure if I want to use it because my poor robot will get hurt, but either way it's gonna get hurt, so I can use the most powerful one called Boo Howl, and it increases its damage by a certain percent, but it's very high cost at 6 AP. Next one I have here is Mooing, which your character does actually moo. It's kind of high cost too because it costs 4 AP and 2 movement points, and it adds resist depending on the level, also hurts enemies around it that happen to be there. So fire spells are pretty much multitasking buffs and damage depending if your summon or a monster is in the vicinity as well. And what's one? And the Magpie, I think I can do, well, not really. I can't heal him. He's too far away. But the Magpie, if you can do damage in that area, you don't have to do the damage, but it multitasks between damage and healing the summons that are in the area as well. My summon wasn't near them, unfortunately, so I couldn't heal them. Last one I didn't do is Croak, which has some pretty decent range. That mob seems a bit too big, it'll last too long. So I'm gonna get some monster groups here and then I'll be right back. Okay, I shouldn't die too much with this fight, or at least my ally shouldn't die much in this fight either. So the next thing is Croak. So yeah, it's going to hurt a bit. Croak is kind of high cost at 5 AP, and it has only diagonals to cast it, but also has very good plus line of sight for an extra 2 squares, so you can get some pretty long range hits in that way. And it also adds an extra chance for your summons to critically hit. Fortunately, I can't do it because it reduced my AP, but my summon should be able to get it away from me. One thing to note with your summons is that look at the stats it can keep, and maybe buff your character depending on those stats. Like, for example, on the Gobble Up thing, it has 70% of creatures' hit points and resistance, but it has 100% of the Osamodas' critical hits. I upgraded my critical hits just for the summon so they can critically hit more, and that's why it keeps happening with the summon so much. So you can buff your summons accordingly if you think you can do that. Let's see if I can hit this time. Well, I can't hit my summon too, but Croak can at least hit that thing for a decent amount of damage. And I think I did all the fire and air spells so far. I can't reach with the earth spells left, so I'll have to let them go. Oops. So this first basic earth spell at 2 AP, it's very weak. But most of the earth spells you add charge to the Gob, but I can't summon it right now, so I'll probably try it in like the next couple fights. It just has somewhat decent range, just a basic whip attack. Otherwise, if you use it on a monster, speedy command is 2 AP and 1 Movement points also pretty weak, but low cost. You can only use it up to 2 times per monster. Vital Command is 4 AP, but you can't use it on enemies next to you, unfortunately, and I'm locked in, so if this thing gets away from me, thank you. Okay, no, it's not next to me anymore. Oh, crud. Oh, there we go, thank you. The good timing. So the Vital Command, I'll use that. It's a little bit stronger, but I'm pretty sure they resist Earth pretty good, so it's not really going to do too much. I can at least kill it with that. I still had to do one Earth spell, though, so that was kind of dumb for me to kill it. So now I gotta get another monster group going to not die in. Shouldn't with that one. Do I really have to wait for you to walk all the way over there? This one I might try and focus on the Earth commands. But to do that, I think I can still do it. So I'll summon the Gob on an empty tile, so you can see how it works. And I'll use the last command as an attack. This one is the strongest Earth spell they have. It has a very high area of effect, you can see. It can hurt allies too, so be careful. It costs 5 AP and 1 movement point. But for some reason it doesn't hurt the Gob or you if you cast it and you're in the area. After that, your Gob can go. What's special about them is that they also keep their own stats, like for example, they'll have your hit points, dodge, critical hit, and resist, but they don't benefit from summon buffs like the fire spells. They benefit from your heal bonus because they can heal, and they have higher water damage the higher you level it. It has a basic attack which you can cast twice, and I think it also has a critical hit too. So you'll probably want some dodge if you want to move around more. It'll buff up their heals if you want to be supporty and offer and give armor and such. I'm just gonna whack them a couple times, so hopefully I don't die yet. Or they don't die yet, because I need them to distract the enemies for me. Oh, well. Okay. So since I'm being attacked, I'm going to put the armored command on him, and I'll get a starry armor next turn. And I'll use this, a shooting star command, and I can still do a vital command as well. So you can put a whole bunch of commands on them as much as you can use with your AP, but they only last a certain amount of turns, so if you don't use them, they'll be wasted. But because of that, now they have additional spells to use, and they don't cost towards their AP, so they just use them, and they can still go. So with the starry armor, I give myself some armor back. I can switch places with the target here and heal hit points. So I can use it to move enemies around to get away from them, or I can just use it on an ally and switch them out. And Lucky Star just heals hit points. So there's plenty of heal things to choose from, along with like a basic attack that'll get stronger, depending on your water damage, but that's why the Animal Link, I believe? Yeah, the Animal Link is helpful, because then if you're powering up your Earth spells, you only need to power up your Earth spells and it will automatically get stronger, since Osamodas don't actually use water, aside from the Gob using it. I think the only one I didn't use is Motivating Command. It's harder to aim it because it has to be in a direct line of sight. So I'll just skip and let him use it on me. So Starry Motivation also heals hit points. Almost all of them heal hit points, I think, except for the Armored Command. Starry Motivation, I think, yeah, it heals, and you also get an additional 2 AP to work with. So you can use it on allies to give them AP boosts if you want to. So it's very handy. Skip, you guys, you'll live. And since I happen to do it like that, I have all this AP to work with, but I'm going to use it to put Weakening Command on him. And I don't want to kill him because I have to show it, so oh well. This one is very helpful if you're mobbed and need to do extra water damage and heal allies that are within the area. So let's see if I can go one more. Because now I'll heal my knight, deal damage to the rock, and heal myself. So because it's a very powerful area of effect spell, it also does pretty darn good that way as well. Just get yourself some shields, make it last. It's probably going to die from burning now. Probably shouldn't have done that, but oh well. Yep. So the next fight, I'm going to summon the Gob as well and try the dragon form, just so you you can see it, even though it's probably very easy to see once you level it up. So this time I should be able to focus on showing off the dragon form and summoning the Gob Gob again, because I don't think... I'm pretty sure they won't die. They haven't yet. Okay, so summon this guy. Once you level up your Gob Gob to high enough level and the dragon thing, you can actually pretty much use them in the same turn, which I actually can use now. So let's just go ahead and use that. I don't think I can use that yet. But anyway, you have better range to cast it once you have it, and then you have the additional abilities. Scareleaf Wing, if you use it on the dragon form, you have a chance of getting rid of 1 movement point for the additional effect. What I really like about the dragon form is that it actually keeps your character's colors. So it's actually pretty cool, and I like how every dragon will look different because all the characters will look different with what the players chose to do. So I don't know, just like a random thing I like that they did. Okay, so let's see. Pretty much their spells don't really look any different. I'm just adding the additional effects like it says I can. If for some reason their gurgling spell is a howl after that, usually it isn't. Just gonna pass. I'll use the critical synergy just because I can use it. That's the basic effect of that. So yeah, I just really like the effects and the colors and whatnot, and I should probably try and just kill it faster. However, once you are in dragon form, you can't summon anything else. So it's kind of a hard choice when you do that. So let's just get this going. So the dragon really just powers up your attacks and gives you more range to work with and whatnot. And I think you can only cancel a summon if they die, so it could be a really good last resort, or you could main the dragon. It's up to you. I'm pretty sure that's just everything, and I'm sorry if this was really messy and all over the place. I'm probably coming down with something with how much I can't talk today. But just for what I would maybe suggest, if it has any indication that I've played it so much and I might have some suggestions to go by. Since I can't always heal myself since I started off buffing up summons, I just gave them resistances and hit points for some survivability. You can also give them resist, of course, and heals received because the Gob Gob will be healing them, and since it's not technically yourself, I don't think it will be reduced by half. Or you can give them lifesteal if you just want all that power from the dragon form, or the resist because I think your Gob Gob gets that too, I think. Yes, it also gets your resist. And anything that attacks the Gob Gob gets redirected to you, but damage is reduced by half. So you might want to be more tanky or defensive if you want to have it out most of the time for support. This of course depends what element you want to go for. If you want strong air because you want to be a dragon, or earth for whatever reason, you can go earth and resistance, or just more tanky with hit points and resist instead of damage. I gave myself initiative because I didn't want to keep going last with enemy turns, but since your Gob Gob also has your dodge and lock, I think, or just the dodge. Yeah, it just has their dodge for that point. You might want to increase dodge so your Gob Gob won't get stuck next to enemies. And for this, I mentioned with the critical hits, I buffed up critical hits a lot because your summons actually get 100% chance from your critical hits, and if you combine that with Croak, they can critically hit a lot, and some of these monsters are pretty strong, so I think that comes in handy. The Gob Gob receives your block bonus, so if you want more tanky, you can get block, so you'll both be harder to damage. You can give yourself critical damage to buff up with the, the Osamodas' Blessing, because once you're in dragon form, you get extra critical hit damage, and once you have all these critical hits, you'll be doing a decent amount of damage. And you can give yourself heals, because the Gob Gob also benefits from your heal bonus, so it can heal you and allies for, more hit points. Afterwards, action points are always good, of course, because you can cast more things. In general, you can do movement points, so you can maybe do more Scare Relief once you eventually get to it. Range and damage might be okay, since most of theirs have okay range, but we might want more range. Wakfu points is also good because a lot of their good spells cost Wakfu points. And you can maybe summon just a little bit more if they keep kicking the bucket or something, or just keep using critical synergy. I'm not really sure about final damage and final reduction, but anyway, that's just all I have to say about it. So I guess I should move on to the next one, and hopefully I'll eventually find a way to do this that's not too long or too rambly, and I actually get the point across. Anyway, guys, bye!